Hello, everybody, and welcome to the October 28th edition of the Bannertalks podcast. My name is Roseanne Cassar, and
my name is Salvatore Cento.
And you are listening to the segment where we cover what's going to happen in and around campus for the next 2 weeks. Dolphin Endeavors.
Since the weather is getting all sorts of nasty, there seems to be a turn in the tide regarding what kind of event is hosted here at the college. Less outdoors and more cab-oriented, it seems. Want to find out more? Keep listening as me and my co-hosts run down all that's going on here at the College of Staten Island.
For all those who have come into the college and selected business or psych as their major, which is code word for I didn't know what to select, so I picked the one that sounds most common, the What Can I Do With This Major event is for you. 1A, room 107, November 1st from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Talk with the staff and use online tools to see what careers are in your field. And then you'll see if business or psych is really for you.
I would go ahead and give the next 2 weeks a health-oriented calling name because of the following 3 events all in order, but then I would probably get flagged because I grabbed the attention away from some other health-attributed time.
November 4th, bystander CPR and AED training. 1C from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Free training by the FDNY, but space is limited to RSVP by calling 718-982-3113 or stopping by 1C111 to register.
November 5th, Your Sexual Health Matters. 2N107 from 2:30 to 3:30. A representative from the health center will be there teaching people about STD/STI awareness. This in particular shouldn't only be taught in college.
Also November 5th, the monthly meeting of the Red Cross Club here at CSI. Did you know we had one? Me neither. It seems that both the host and the listener learn something new every day. 2:30 to 3:30 at 3S 107. They will be discussing past events, future events, as well as CPR certification.
Life Sci. If you're thinking lifestyles, humanities, you are wrong. I was too, so don't worry. Business, computer science, data analytics, and more. That's where this was headed. Guess what date? November 5th. 1P119 from 2:30 to 3:30. Learn about all the, and I quote, paid internships the field has to offer.
Are you a history major? Do you want to have informal discussions with your professors about current or past historical events? Sounds odd, but at the same time, sounds pretty relaxed. Student and teacher, but not in a classroom environment. Coffee with faculty from 2:30 to 4, 2N, room 220. November 6th. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. November 5th.
November 5th is packed, but we can't even move on yet because CSI apparently doesn't know how to space out. 2 separate performances to add. Musical hour with Jeffrey Dorfman on piano in 1P120 from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Starting in a half an hour earlier and ending a half an hour later, Kelly Kells, who is a teacher turned comedian, is going to engage with her students once more in the cafeteria's Dolphin Lounge, but this time to make them laugh.
Don't worry, this is even getting repetitive on my end. For the first time, November 5th, learn how to Excel. With Microsoft Excel, yeah, my jokes are turning into dad jokes. From 5 o'clock to 5:30 via Blackboard Collaborate, students will learn how to make spreadsheets. Date may be the same, but no room number here, folks. This event will be hosted online. All online.
And we're off to the races. November 6th, World on Wednesday lecture series, summer program in Florence, Italy. 1C211 from 12:20 to 1:10. Dr. Alan Zimmerman will talk about the recent trip he led students on during the summer to the city that has Renaissance art and architecture all over the place.
Mood Matters. November 6th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. in 1C's Dolphin Lounge. Numerous activities including free massages and mood quilt Someone should go just for the sole purpose of finding out what a mood quilt is.
Cavs Speaker Series presents Jaylene Clark Owens at Open Mic Night, November 6th from 5:30 to 6:30 at, wait a second, there's no specific location. College of Staten Island, of course, though. Award-winning actress, author, and spoken word artist.
2019 NSLS Fall Speaker Broadcast. Tiki Barber, BU, November 6th from 6:30 to 9 in Building 5N Room 102. In this talk, the three-time NFL Pro Bowl running back will provide insight on the importance of creating opportunities, being honest with yourself, and identifying when it's time to evolve and reinvent.
Ooh, a drama production that doesn't have a crazy ticket price. YGB. That stands for Young Goodman Brown. The Lab Theater in 1P. November 6th from 7:30 to 9 p.m. $10 for students and $5 for senior. In a symbolic fashion, the story follows young Goodman Brown's journey into self-scrutiny, which results in his loss of virtue and belief.
On November 7th, there is a choice to be made. 2 events, beginning and ending at the same time. Line in the Street, a film about gerrymandering with CSI graduate Bob Millman, 1P 223. From 2:30 to 4:30, a 40-minute documentary about the problems with manipulating district boundaries. In 3S108, there is an event to make surgical caps for pediatric patients, helping the families, the hospital, and the patients. $5 to buy supplies.
November 10th, the LGBT office is sponsoring a trip to the Museum of Sex. Field trip in college and not for a class. Sounds like fun. Having been there myself, don't forget to go downstairs. $10 deposit needed.
November 12th, reducing stress and reading scholarly work. Once again, though, take your pick. From 3 different events, squeeze out the stress. 2N107 from 2:30 to 3:30, create a stress ball, and then probably squeeze it so hard that you break it. CSI Authors Book Talk, 1L216 from 2:30 to 4. Find out about the professors who have published works out there in the wild and Swerner Writer Series. Sabrina V, 1P223 from 2:30 to 4:30. Latina journalists who will come to campus teaching students about mixing fantasy and science fiction, elements with real issues such as border control and immigration.
And to finally sign us off, CSI's 14th annual GIS Day. Global Internet Service? Greater Intelligence Spectrum? Gather intellectual spies? No. Surprisingly enough, Geography Week. A celebration of Geography Week. 1C Green Dolphin Lounge, November 13th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And that's all, folks. Thanks for listening. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to In My Opinion. My name is Salvatore Cento, and today my co-host is
Dijon Virgo.
And today we'll be talking about all the 16 deaths in the Dominican Republic. A total of 16 deaths in just over a year. And while the Dominican Republic Tourist Ministry have said that all of these deaths they all have died because of natural causes, I have 4 articles here that say otherwise. So first up, I want to highlight some of the people who died. Lynn Crouch, 54 years old. Mortuary staff in the United States discovered that Lynn's heart, eye, stomach, and 6 other organs were missing from her body. Natural? No, I don't think so. Okay. Next one. Edward Holmes and Cynthia Day. They were a couple, engaged couple, in the Dominican Republic who died in the same room, same hotel, same day. They were found face first on the floor. You call that natural? I don't. Miranda Schwab.
I never called it anything.
Miranda Schwab Werner. She collapsed in her room after having a drink from her minibar at the luxury Bahia Resort in La Romana, 70 miles west of Punta Cana. You call that natural? I don't. Again. Tracy Jerome Jesser Jr., March 17th, 2019. The interesting thing with this was the Minister of Tourism said this was isolated in occurrence. I don't call this isolated when there's 17 other deaths surrounding this. Okay? So, my second article, my co-host will chime in eventually. He just has to wrap his head around all of this.
I'm just waiting till you get to your point.
The FBI tests, the United States, obviously, FBI tests show that 3 Americans died of natural causes. And this was the couple that I just said. And the third one was Schwab Werner, who she mentioned that the drink from the minibar tasted weird, but the FBI calls these 3, at least these 3 people who died. They died of natural causes, which I don't believe so. Third article, here we go. My co-host is looking at me like I'm a little crazy, but this is what I do in my opinions.
No, go ahead.
So on June 18th, 6 high school graduates, fell ill at the Dominican Republic's Hard Rock's in-house restaurant. There were about 75 former students, 6 people fell ill, and at this same place, Robert Bell Wallace on April 14, 2019, and David Harrison, they were both reported from eating at this same place. But yet again, we're calling all of these deaths natural, isolated occurrences. First of all, the word isolated I don't believe, because we have 16 other people dying. And then the fourth article is that a Brooklyn woman, mind you, one of the deaths out of the 16 was from here in Staten Island. A woman was vacationing over there. And not only that, but now a woman from Brooklyn says she was in a very bad state of condition. She was vomiting blood, she was having shivers, she was having a little bit of fever, and here we have that the hotel management of the hotel that she was staying at tried to offer a free couples massage to her and her ex, as well as dinner for her in return for her signature on a non-disclosure agreement.
Mm.
So with that, I want to say that even though the U.S. says that 3 of the people who died, it was from natural occurrences, and the tourist minister in the Dominican Republic says that all of these 16 deaths from American and UK tourism were natural occurrences, I don't believe so. I don't believe so because you have too many coincidences building up. What do you say to that?
Well, I say it's very suspicious. If all these articles are true.
Okay, so I did not mention where my articles were from. One was from the Daily News, one was from CBS, one was from the Independent in the UK, and one was from the Sun in the UK. So those are reputable sources. These are not any conspiracy websites. I will stray away from those definitely.
Okay, so like I said, maybe there could be an investigation even further into these deaths.
Well, there has been investigations already for
further.
3 of them.
I said further. Because I'm presuming you talk about more than just 3 people, right?
Well, that's all that the FBI have investigated thus far.
Well, yeah, like I said,
it took them 5 months to investigate those 3, so it's gonna take a while for the rest of them.
Well, it takes a while to investigate, but it shouldn't just be sat on.
Of course.
As if there's nothing. And maybe, particularly within the Dominican Republic, there should be more investigations into, what is put into the products. Is this deliberate, or it was this a lack of, let's say, regulation and something slipped in?
And there will be a simple response from you for this, but the Dominican, like I said for a third time, the tourist minister in the Dominican Republic said the deaths were natural occurrences, but the liquor dispensers in the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino / Resort, their liquor dispensers were taken away. Not from authorities or anything, the restaurant themselves. So, with that being said, with everything else being said, is that just cautionary, or do you, in your opinion, of course, do you believe it was cautionary, or do you think that they're doing their own investigation and might have found something bad in the alcohol? Because numerous of these, out of these 16, I think about 5 were from they drank something bad in the minibar, they tasted something a little funny.
Well, like I said, there should be an investigation into particularly the providers. Like, I don't know what brand of alcohol
That the
they're
articles do
using.
not go into.
But yeah, like whatever the brands, I'm pretty sure you could find it on the liquor bottle. I'm pretty sure they print it on there somewhere. So maybe there needs to be investigation into that company, whether or not they're violating like regulations, whether or not there was, actually someone who probably slipped in and slipped a little something. Whatever the case may be, there, I guess, should be an investigation into
So
it.
your-
It just
so
shouldn't
your-
be left.
So your thought process might be leading to you to say maybe someone slipped a little something in.
Well, maybe. I think, that's what the investigation is supposed to, find out.
Okay, so that's one avenue we can go down. The second avenue is that a lawyer for the Staten Island victim, I think it does not, it says on these articles, but as we are in the middle of conversation, I do not want to lay any words coming out of my mouth. A lawyer said that the fertilizer they used on the soil for the resorts could have been a possibility as well. What do you think about that? And that was a lawyer saying that.
Well, yeah, once again, like I said, it goes into like regulations. Maybe this was just a mistake that happened, or what if it was because maybe they just don't have tough enough regulations on things like pesticides and like their effects, and maybe it wasn't tested and it was rushed to use. There's basically just like avenues we could explore to see like what actually happened. And that's what investigations are for. I don't think you could, if these are true, like I said, go through an investigation. Let's see what can come up out of this, and let's see what happens.
For the very first victim, I said that 6 of her organs were missing. That's definitely not natural causes. I think you can agree. That's not natural causes. That 6 organs were removed on the way back to the UK. Mortuary staff in the UK discovered that heart, eye, stomach, and 6 other organs were missing. You call that natural?
Well, no, obviously not. But
And that's what the Dominican Republic tourist minister said.
Well, I don't see how that could be possible. There's other possibilities. Like, for example, it could have been that someone actually did do this in the wake of transportation. We do have a lot of sick people out there. Maybe it could have been that once the body got into the UK, another person got into it, or it could be just that this is basically a murder and it's possibly not connected to the other incidents.
And then another case of can't believing that it's natural occurrences. Chris Palmer, an Army veteran who died on April 18th, a friend who had dated Palmer for about 10 years, said he was as healthy as a horse. She wonders if he was poisoned or if he was drugged.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
So with that being said, the narrative is wrong. If you and I both agree, well, of course, with others' opinions, but right now in this segment, the narrative is so mixed up because for one, cannot believe that all these sources are coming out who are supposed to be reputable, and there's evidence here right now saying that all these things, how can they be?
Well, okay, so
We have the Sun saying this, we have the New York Daily News saying this, we have the Independent saying this, we have CBS saying this.
Well, I do want to ask a question. So those 3 bodies that the FBI talked about, right?
Yes.
They
Continue.
how are those bodies connected to the ones, like say, we found in the UK?
They were all found within the same vicinity of the Dominican Republic, within the same vicinity of resorts.
So
And they were all found within the last year.
So they were found in the same vicinity.
The same vicinity of like hotel chains and resorts.
Okay, so could it possibly be that these are just not connected at all, and these are 2 separate incidents that just so happens to happen at the same time? Like maybe those 3 people were just got sick, and maybe the other person was murdered, but maybe that they're just not connected.
Couple that in with the 16 others that happened in last year around the same 5-6 months, if you want to be exact.
Well, they all died the same way, or?
Well, to be honest, I already explained it. They all died within natural causes from the Dominican Republic tourist minister and the FBI. Natural causes for all these weird deaths that people are saying, oh, these people were healthy as a horse, things like that. Within the same 5 months of 2019, within the same vicinity of these hotel resorts and chains, and these same hotel resorts and chains were named, such as the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, and then there was another resort.
Go ahead.
And you're saying it's natural.
Well, I never said it was natural. I'm just
I'm
just being skeptical
with your previous statement.
Well, I'm asking questions because murders happen, but in order to actually investigate this as something bigger, you need something to connect all these murders, other than just.
And I am giving that to you right now.
Well, you said they happened in the same place at around the same time, but that's not enough to establish a connection. Because when you're investigating this as an investigator, you're not just looking at time and place. You're also looking at the way these people were, supposedly murdered, how they died. If they all died in a similar way, then you can establish a connection, but if they passed away in different ways, then there could be something else happening. Not saying that it's not murder or anything like that, but
at least
it could just not be connected.
Oh, at least 5 or 6 of these, they all had a drink from the minibar in the various hotels and resorts around the same vicinity, like I said. So you have a couple of...
So they drank drinks from different minibars.
Yes. But like I said again, within the same... There's too many disconnects here. There's too many.
That's the problem with having an investigation. If there's too many disconnects, then you can't really have this as one.
Let me clarify this statement. There's too many disconnects when the main cause is natural causes from both parties, from the FBI for the 3 Americans so far, and the Dominican Republic tourist minister. All of this, 5 months, same year, same vicinity of the Dominican Republic. It's a little odd, don't you think? In that specific case of words, anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
for crying out loud, the very first death that's listed here, organs removed. Doctors told her partner Peter meningitis caused her death, but a second post-mortem in the UK revealed no trace of the illness.
Okay.
Don't you find that odd in that specific case alone?
Well, yeah, it's odd. I'm not saying that there's not foul play that's possible in these deaths. I'm saying that if you're, I guess, trying to connect them to a wider thing, it's going to be hard to do that. That's basically what I'm saying. I'm not saying that all of this is right or the minister is right or the FBI, whatever. I'm just saying, if you're going to try to connect these all together, you're going to have to try to piece together some things. Cause
I think we can both agree, though, that there is some foul play here. With what I've said to you, it's not natural occurrences when you have organs removed, when different autopsy results come back and they're different. When drinking from minibars is connected in multiple cases.
Well, like I said, what type of alcohol are they getting?
If you want to go to specifics like that, the 4 articles that I have...
because it's possible you can have a connection with all of them drinking the same product and that product not being, tested properly, or there's something in...
I wish those tests do come out in the future.
Well, yeah, like I said, if they're all drinking from similar beers or alcohol or whatever, then there you go. You have your connection.
Couple the 6 with the 15, that's 21. So I really do. I
And
for
plus,
one,
it's not, and I don't blame you because it's not hard. I mean, it's not easy to connect this many deaths. You know, it's not an easy thing. And many of these, I think, are probably just coincidences. Not that it's natural causes, but I just don't think they're connected. Versus others, there are possibilities with more information that they could be connected.
as you can see, folks, we are established on different lines in the sand, but that is what this segment is all about. We are all about debating.
I'm just asking questions.
That's fine. That's fine.
You know, I think these are questions that if you're presenting this information to someone else, these are questions that I think they're probably going to ask, especially...
I do honestly respect a skeptical on the show because that is what I'm all about.
Yeah, because, like, honestly, if you're an investigator, these are questions you have to ask yourself if you're going to open up another investigation, or if you want them to open up an investigation, they have to be able to answer these types of questions, like, are the bodies connected? You know, what is the connection if they are?
And like you said,
was there a cover-up?
Further tests, further details need to be uncovered, which have not been uncovered to the public to find out what kind of liquor it is. What kind of liquor it is, what kind of alcohol it is.
Yeah.
More details into the pesticides, more details into fertilizer. Yeah. I do agree there. Let's hope that sooner or later those details do emerge.
Yeah.
And if they don't, people are left to wonder at this point, because I think there is a greater number than just one that agrees with the fact that natural occurrences, they don't stick with these details given. The details we have already been given, they don't stick to natural causes.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, this is, you know, something that I at least hope maybe gets looked into a little bit more.
Me too.
That's fair.
So, okay. Everybody, thank you for watching. This has been In My Opinion with your host, Salvatore Cento, and your co-host,
Dijon Virgo.
Thanks for listening.
See you later. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Between the Stripes with Dijon and
Chermo.
And today's episode is going to be yet another internationally heavy, you know, topic. The first thing we are going to talk about is the never-ending saga of Brexit, and the fact that Thursday is not the
final day.
Yeah, it's not the final day for the UK to leave the EU.
Yeah.
So this comes out November 1st, and UK will still be in the European Union, which is funny because Boris Johnson said, you know, do or die, he'd rather be dead in the ditch. Well, last time I checked, he's not in the ditch, so I don't know how it works.
So I believe the UK has until like January of next year to make a deal with the EU.
Yeah,
and they'll have to leave, or leave with a deal, or leave without no deal. Either way, it's still not that good for the UK. It still don't look good for the UK.
Yeah, because like, in my opinion, they should have remained, you know, but at the end of the day, you know, they did the referendum. And
can't the UK just have another referendum and just be like, we don't want to leave the EU?
They can, but then I think there's going to be just a big argument about the first referendum, because a lot of people are like, oh, you said he was going to honor the first referendum, but now you're going to try to pull the second referendum to disregard the first referendum, which is like...
But people in the UK see how chaotic this whole process is. Like, nobody really don't want to leave. People, like, it's like people are confused on whether to leave or not, and they don't know what the outcome will be if they do leave. So wouldn't it just be better just stay in and just go back to how it was before and just try to work with the EU and fix certain policy instead of like leaving it and not knowing what the future will be? Because if the UK leave the EU, right, that opened up like Pandora's box. That's like you don't know that could be a slippery slope for the whole global economy.
Yeah, that is true, especially if they leave with no deal. Another, but for me, I feel like the EU, at the beginning, I was like, the EU was trying to make this look as worse as possible, because like, imagine using the UK as an example to other EU members. Well, look at the UK now. Like, look how they left. So dysfunctional, bad, disorderly. The economy tanked. The pound tanked. Do you want that for your country? So you better not leave the EU.
I mean, that is true.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Some countries may say they don't care, but
they care about their own currency. They want their currency to be strong, because they know what happens if the currency is not strong. People are going to vote them out. People are not going to want them in power no more. So it's same thing with the UK. Boris Johnson, he knows this, and he's all about just advancing his own political career. That's it. That's all he cares about. So he knows if the UK leave the EU, it's going to have unintended consequences, and they're not going to be good for the EU. I mean, for the UK, EU, US, every country in the world, is going to be a disaster. Right now, it's chaotic. Like right now, people are even scared. Like right now, it's like, what is the future? Now imagine if they do leave the EU, how it's going to be.
Because like the politics and the British politics has not really shifted, because now it's like, you no longer like Labour or Conservative or whatever. You're more of Leave or Remain, and you're gonna vote for whatever party you think represents that more than, let's say, austerity or the economy or whatever. And for Boris Johnson, one of his arguments is like, if we just leave as soon as possible, all this goes away. You no longer have the tensions and the anger and hostility about Brexit, because it would be done and over, which technically it wouldn't be true, because remember, this deal is only to negotiate the withdrawal of the UK. It doesn't put into place trade deals with the EU, so Brexit would still technically go on for a long time even after they leave, because then you have to negotiate a whole bunch of things. You have to renegotiate customs,
like border crossings, all of that, roads
in Northern Ireland.
And you have to, like, the tunnel that France, between the English Channel with Britain and France. I don't know how is that going to work. Are you going to have like bordermen in the tunnel or outside the tunnel, just waiting for people to come out? It's going to be complicated. It's just going to be a disaster. And you got Northern Ireland. How would that work with Ireland? This and that. How the insurgency in Northern Ireland will play out. All of these things has to be answered. Yeah,
and the thing about this extension is that the EU calls it a flextension, which is basically saying that if the UK is able to get a deal through Parliament, let's say the 1st of November or the 1st of December, then they could leave earlier than the 31st of January. But once again, we don't know if this deal can get through. So what happens now is that they go on a general election, and it was really just this morning that Jeremy Corbyn was like, "Okay, fine, we'll back a election now."
And also with the election, right? What does this mean for the survival of the UK? Because I know if the UK leave the EU, places like Scotland will probably want their freedom, want their independence from the UK now, because they want to stay in the EU. I think Wales too want to stay in the EU. Northern Ireland wants to stay in the EU. It's the England part of the UK that voted to leave the EU.
Well, it's England and Wales. So you definitely have a divide right in between the lines. You have Northern Ireland and Scotland that voted to stay, and you have Wales and England that voted to leave the EU. And they had basically more people on their side, so basically they got that. The separatist movement in Scotland is very, very real. You have the SNP, Scottish National Party, and they really do want a referendum on Scottish independence.
And they're going to get more support if the UK make this move.
Yeah, because a lot of people do want to stay. A lot of them don't want to leave. But, they say, well, this is general consensus. This is what happens in democracy. The losers lose and, the winners they get the decisions through. And I don't know if Scotland's gonna leave. I don't think the UK is gonna try to do that. A lot of people say Boris Johnson is like the last prime minister of the UK, or in Jeremy Corbyn's way, he wants Boris Johnson to be the shortest prime minister ever, which is why they agreed to this. Partly why they agreed to this election. They want Johnson out now. He has to go. The Liberal Democrats and the SNP were also we back an election right now because we need to get this guy out of here. So we'll see what happens in that general election, which may take place in either mid-December or beginning of December. Because one of the worries about it is that you're doing this in the winter. You may not get a lot of turnout. A lot of people may not want to come out and maybe
vote.
stand in the cold, and go out and vote and whatever. So normally elections are held in the spring, but this is once again an early election. That's not
a snap election.
Yeah, snap election. That's not on the regular schedule that the Fixed Term Parliament Act sort of laid out for MPs back in, I believe, 2011.
Yeah. All right.
So the next topic, to switch topics, is we're going to talk about a couple of elections that happened in other places around the world. The first one we should talk about is the one in Canada. Recently Justin Trudeau, he was able to at least keep his prime ministership. His party didn't get an overall majority, but they were able to get enough votes to at least have a slim minority, but they just need a couple votes to actually form a government and govern.
Yeah. With Trudeau, he's been, I don't know, part disappointment, part approval. It's I support him, but at the same time disappointed in him a little bit with some of his policies and stuff like that.
He's giving me a lot of Obama vibes.
Yeah.
Where it's he was this new, bright, great guy that came in and he's talked about a whole bunch of policies and stuff like that. But, in terms of getting stuff done, it's been a little bit lackluster.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of compromised on certain things where it's if you believe in this, you really shouldn't compromise on it.
Yeah.
I was watching some of the highlights of the debate he had with the other conservative parties and the New Democrats and the Greens, and other parties, where the Green leader, I forgot her name, but she basically was saying, Trudeau, you talk about climate change, you talk about you for it, but yet you're approving this pipeline to go through. You don't approve these types of pipelines if you really are for climate change.
Yeah, that's true.
And something I sort of wanted to talk about was the rise of right-wing populism. It's, for me, it's always been kind of weird that Canada hasn't really been hit by right-wing populism the United States has, other European countries have, even somewhat in Australia and New Zealand. So it's
I think it's because places like Canada don't have a history of racism, real racism, in the U.S. How the U.S. had slavery, back during the slave days. Slaves used to on the Underground Railroad. When I read Harriet Tubman biography, on the Underground Railroad, she used to help slaves from the South. Help them escape from the South and bring them to the North through New York. They used to go through Canada or through Michigan, because slavery was outlawed, and black people wasn't treated as badly as they was in the U.S. or other places in the world. That's probably why Canada really hasn't been hit with right wing racism, extremism, things like that, because it's not really known. And I lived in Canada for 1.5 years. I seen how the culture is. I seen the French side. The French side is a little bit racist. I'm not gonna hold you on that.
And sort of separatist. They want to
Quebec. Yeah, they're very separatist and a little bit racist, but it's nothing compared to the U.S. Nothing. The closest racism I ever had when I lived in Canada was when I went to the barber shop, and one of the old barbers, he was an old guy. He was oh, I don't know how to cut color people hair.
Ooh.
Yeah, he told me that, and I was like, hey, I was like, oh, then he was like, oh, I'm sorry. It's just back then that's how we used to say it, and he apologized for saying it. He actually said that to me. Like,
Okay.
Yeah,
It's a good thing he apologized because
Yeah.
we're not in those types of days
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah,
So fix your vocabulary.
Yeah.
And I've always thought of Canada as like, I guess, more progressive, than really other countries. Think about it. Obama would probably face a huge ton of backlash if he came out and said he's a feminist, while Trudeau can openly say that, like on interviewing, and be like, oh, well, of course, yeah, I'm a feminist. Of course, half of my cabinet members are females, and you saw that he was sort of forgiven, I guess, for the blackface controversy that he had.
But he's playing identity politics when he say like, oh, half my cabinet is females. But let's say if they're all females, but they all have the wrong policy. Should we agree?
Well, if they had the wrong policy, then no.
Exactly. So you just because you say it's all female, you're playing identity politics. If they all females and they have the right policy that can help Canada progress, then yes.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I think female representation is important, but just don't slap any female in a position.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they may not be doing the right things.
Just because it's gonna look good.
That's not exactly. For example, let's say if this was an election, like for you in the United States, between Bernie Sanders and Nikki Haley, would you vote for Nikki Haley?
No.
Exactly.
I would vote for Bernie Sanders. It's the same thing. Somebody said, "Oh, we need more like millennials in government. We shouldn't have old people in government." And I replied, I was like, "All right, so let's say we had a millennial who's a neo-Nazi. Would you prefer that person over Bernie Sanders? Because Bernie Sanders, he's old.
Yeah.
And would you prefer, because that person young, but they're a neo-Nazi? Would you say, oh, because they're young, you want them in office?" Just because they're young?
No neo-Nazi should be in any type of government ever. I don't care. I vote for someone who's 150 years old.
Exactly.
But no neo-Nazi. Okay, we have enough of that in the United States, and we have to flush that out. Particularly after this guy's out, because you won't have anyone who's sympathetic to those type of people anymore. So let's change into the Israeli election. This is more of an update because they had an election like a while back. But this time, so basically the president of Israel tapped Benjamin Netanyahu to form a new government, even though he had, I think, either one or two less seats than I think the other guy's name is Benny Gantz, part of the Blue and White Party. But he was tapped to basically form a government. And recently, he was unable to do that within the time frame. Mm-hmm. So now it goes to the Blue and White Party, the leader Benny Gantz, to form that new type of government. He has like a couple weeks maybe. But if he doesn't form that, then guess what? A third election needs to happen. Yeah. And Israel need to go back to the polls yet again.
Then, when Benjamin Netanyahu get his job back, right? If he can't form a coalition.
If he can't form a coalition, then he still technically is the leader of the party, but he just won't be prime minister. He'll be like the leader of the opposition.
Oh, like Mitch McConnell.
Yeah.
So he's gonna be like a Mitch McConnell type person.
So he'll be like the ones who are like, we oppose this, we oppose that, pick our government instead of that. Sort of like a Jeremy Corbyn. He'll be like a Jeremy Corbyn.
Right. Okay.
And
but like Netanyahu, I don't want Netanyahu back, bro.
I mean, honestly, if he's not prime minister, then that means they can actually go after him for his corruption charges. He doesn't have the shield of the prime ministership anymore.
Yes.
So he may not even be the leader of that party for long.
Exactly. And with the things that happened under his government, like with how they treated the Palestinians and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think every single person that was in his government, right? Like that was a high official should be tried for like crimes against humanity or something.
Yeah.
Because the way they treated they were sniping people that was just trying to help people out.
Exactly.
Yeah, they was like sniping them, and people were just throwing rocks at them and just sniping people from like
Yeah, like rocks
far
versus
away.
snipes.
Yeah, these people are throwing rocks from far away, and you like all the way down there, and you just shooting people for no reason.
Exactly.
For
And
no reason.
not only that, but he said he wanted to annex the West Bank. In my opinion, I felt like Israel was gonna do that at some point.
Yeah.
Like I felt like there wasn't really any way to get around it, but I think you needed a really right-wing government in order to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And Netanyahu was that type of government. He was willing to do that.
Yeah.
That was sort of his
Viable.
plea.
Yeah.
He said that during the election cycle, we will annex parts of the West Bank.
Yeah.
And that was appealing to more of the right-wing Orthodox part of Israelis. So basically, when, at least from what I saw, when he wasn't able to get the majority, I was like, okay, if you are part of any opposition party, this is your one chance to get him out.
Exactly. And they try to do that, I can see.
Yeah, this is your one chance. So if Benny Gantz could actually form a coalition, and that is the end of Netanyahu as prime minister, and he has been one of the longest serving prime ministers, by the way. So he oversaw many years of like Palestinian rights violations, and
he encouraged it, and he pushed for it.
Yeah, and the United States really
violating
just
international law and everything.
The United States basically just enables it because it's like, oh well, we want a good relationship with Israel.
The U.S. I think they give Israel I think it's $20 billion to $30 billion a year.
Yeah,
military aid.
Yeah,
military aid. Basically.
Like, I understand if you want to help Israel, fight off hostile neighbors, but you have to respect the human rights of the Palestinians. Because remember, if you annex them, then you're not giving them the rights, because I'm pretty sure that Israel does not want to give them their rights, because then they will be a majority and they would basically start taking over government, because that's how governments run. If you get the most votes, then you get to do certain things. So it would be like an apartheid state.
That's what it is.
We don't want another apartheid. It doesn't matter if it's from Israel or United States, and the United States should not be enabling it.
Yeah, exactly.
So this was a very, very nice conversation. So thank you all for watching. This has been, listening. This has been Between the Stripes with Dijon and
Shermo.
And have a nice day.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome to Pop Off. I'm Ruben.
And I'm Dijon.
And today we're going to talk about the Disney Plus launch and the lineups that are coming up on November 12th. If you've pre-ordered, or quote-unquote pre-ordered a subscription, you'll have access on November 12th to a backlog of not just Disney movies, but now Fox-produced stuff, like a bunch of different things that are coming. Like,
long as it's not Fox News.
Right. That's a different entity. But no, you're going to get a lot. They're going to have like over 300 titles on the date of the launch. Plus, as they're putting out their own original shows and movies and stuff, that's going to come on there too.
Yeah.
There is a lot to go through.
Ooh.
I don't know how familiar you are with like the early live action Disney stuff. I'm not too familiar with it, but pretty much all the
I know the
stuff.
Cinderella one.
I mean, there's like stuff like, and that's pretty early too, but like stuff predating that, like going back to the 40s. A bunch of movies from the 50s are going on. The Sign of Zorro, just to name a few. Jungle Cat. Going to the 60s, you've got the original Parent Trap.
Ooh.
Prince and Pauper. What else? Blackbeard's Ghost. To the 70s, The $1 Million Duck. Justin Morgan Had a Horse. Herbie Rides Again. I didn't know those movies have been going on that long. The only one I ever saw was the Lindsay Lohan one. And
that's true. The Parent Trap.
But what else? Pete's Dragon. The Muppet Movie. The 1979 one. Then towards the 80s, another Herbie movie, Herbie Goes Bananas, Tron, Return to Oz. These are like titles that kind of like I'm sure everyone's a little bit more familiar with.
Yeah.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit,
Oh, I
gonna
love
be in
that one. Love that movie.
I love that movie. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. A bunch of 90s stuff.
Yeah, I've started to get back into it because now it's 90s.
Right, now
And
you're,
I love
yeah,
it.
right. Even though it's like a little bit before us, it's not that much before us.
Well, I'm a 90s kid, so.
Right. Were you born 96?
Eight.
98? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
98. The Muppets Christmas Carol, The Adventures of Huck and Finn, The Sandlot, Iron Will, Blank Check, The Santa Claus.
You know what I heard?
What's that?
I heard that you get like a month off if you're on like Verizon.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't heard that. But I did hear that if you get a membership for it, you will get Hulu for free.
Oh, Hulu for free?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's so funny because Disney Plus kind of tried to distance themselves from like Netflix and everything.
Yes.
So it's like now you have this little partnership with like Hulu. So
It's so like, you know how Netflix does those lists of like what's leaving and what's coming to Netflix like a particular month, like,
Yeah.
like what's leaving in November.
like I see that on Watch Mojo.
Yes.
Yes,
So,
Watch Mojo.
odds are like a big chunk of the list of what's leaving in November is stuff that's going on to Disney Plus now because they're not
Yeah.
going to have shared streaming rights. So like all the Marvel movies, anything Star Wars, you know, Disney original series, I'm assuming too, Disney original movies, those are going to be, and that's like a lot. Fox stuff. That's
Yeah.
a lot of stuff. That's
I hope they put some Halloween movies on there.
yeah.
Like
Mhm.
I know this is covered out. Like it will be available after Halloween, but it's like
still,
you know I
it's still
will.
spooky time.
Yes, I would love to see a place where I could watch Twitches
Mhm.
during Christmas and
Mhm.
all these other types of movies. It's like
Do you have any hopes for the streaming service stuff that like Netflix never improved on that you think it could do?
I hope it's not as expensive as Netflix.
I believe it's gonna be $6.99 from launch or $70 for the year, which is
Okay.
not bad.
Yeah, that's
That's-
better than I think Netflix. And Netflix is like in double digits.
I think it's at $10 now or something like that. It started off at like it's at
Yeah.
$12 now. It used to be what, $8? $8, yeah. And then they did like the thing where like if you wanted more than 2 screens, you could do like $10. But then they started just increasing the prices anyways because they have to pay for that
Yeah.
renewing Friends every year isn't going to
I mean, we could get rid of Friends. We could get it on one of those illegal sites.
or
Yeah.
just watch it on TV because it plays on every single channel.
Exactly, on TBS all the time.
I will be very surprised if Disney Plus doesn't pick that up when Netflix drops it, and there's no way Netflix keeps it more than 2 years.
Yeah.
I think I think it just costs way too much money for them to, have it be a I mean, like I don't know the numbers of like the viewers of it, but
Yeah.
and I'm sure, and like it's gotten like a resurgence of popularity amongst like the generation right below us because I think we were
Yeah.
lucky enough to catch it on TV. Like that's the way I first saw it.
Exactly.
Yeah, like I like obviously I wasn't watching it when it came out. But
Yeah.
like, Nick at Night used to play it all the time.
Oh.
So before it even went on Netflix, I probably saw the series like twice.
Yeah, I
like
did too.
Yeah, like from front to back. But then now that's on Netflix, like my sister who's 15, she's probably seen it maybe 4 times. She watches it. I swear to God, she wakes up, she'll be doing her hair, makeup, she's watching Friends. In the afternoon, she's doing her homework, whatever, watching Friends, getting ready for bed. That's like, and she watches other stuff too, but like
Yeah.
that's like their go-to. Like I'm bored, I need something on in the background. Kind
Like
of show.
I like the show, I really do, but some things, now because we're in 2019, some things are just like eyebrow raising. And
Oh
like,
no! Yeah. Not everything
Yes.
has aged
Well.
Yeah, but I think for the most part, because it was like an NBC,
Yeah.
just like
because I still like it. I
right,
still like it.
run-of-the-mill
Don't get me
sitcom.
wrong.
I think like probably 9 out of 10 jokes or 8 out of 10 jokes. So you're still like, oh yeah, whatever. That was funny then.
Exactly.
It's funny now. There's just some things where it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's
I
like
don't know.
it's like if you reboot Friends, you'll have to probably change something. Like,
I mean, did you ever watch How I Met Your Mother?
oh yeah, I did.
Yeah, I mean that's another one where like looking back on it, like it was a really funny show. But even now that show's only been off the air since 2016.
Yeah, I think so.
Only
around there.
3 years. There's a lot of stuff that has not aged well in
Nah.
that show. There's because I think it took like a little bit of like a raunchier step than Friends. There's some stuff that like, you know, there's and not just jokes that are like, oh, this is a little too raunchy, but jokes where it's like, I don't know, I think this guy's a rapist.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I think a lot of the Barney stuff compares to like where Joey was like funny and like, you know, obviously very womanizing, but like, you know, like at the end of it, it was just kind of like, well, it's because he's an idiot.
Yeah.
Barney was more like, this guy's kind of like, he's got this position of power, and like he'll do like things where it's like, well, guess how many what is it called, sexual harassment lawsuits I've evaded, and it's like, I don't know.
Hashtag me too.
Right.
Gotta get the police down here.
I don't know how well that works out.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think you can still like certain types of media and still critique it.
Oh no,
like,
obviously, yeah, and I think it's also a product of that time.
Exactly.
Yeah, like I don't think anyone on the show is like sexual harassment.
Yeah,
it's
because
hilarious. It's more like because like they were trying to take a step forward from Friends.
Yeah.
And it was right before that kind of era where the stuff had really a big limelight on it. You're not.
You know,
really
and it's like a lot of
there.
people get upset when you critique media, and it's like, get over it, Snowflake. That was problematic. Admit to it, and then move on. We're not saying we don't like the series. We're just saying that's problematic, and so it could be problematic and enjoyable too.
Right.
Like, why can't the two intertwine
you
it?
can have these varying opinions on stuff that came out a year ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. You could see, you know, that they've like things have evolved, and you know, like not everything was always the same. I think some people try and like, well, no, that's not what they meant, or like, no, that is probably
that's
what they meant.
Yeah,
but you just kind of like, that's what media is. You get to critique it, you get to, you know, enjoy it, you know, whatever it may be, and then you kind of just, you know, keep moving. You decide if you want to watch it, you decide if you don't want to watch it. You decide things that are that you want to interpret a certain way, you know. So
yeah, first things first, I apologize to all the snowflakes I offended. Another thing is that
what is this, fourth podcast today for you?
Well, fourth segment, you know.
Fourth segment, yeah.
Yeah, because, you know, a president's work is never done. So, beyond that, go back to Disney Plus just for a little bit. I want to know, what was, like, the original content that they are starting to have, or do they not have original content yet?
So, I'm not sure if any original content is going to be available on the date of release. Oh, yes, The Mandalorian. I wanted to talk about that. Thank you so much. Yes, besides The Mandalorian, because they've got like a bunch of Marvel stuff coming out. They've got a bunch of other Star Wars things that I believe they're planning on producing. But yes, The Mandalorian with, what is his name? Pablo Pascal, I want to say. Pablo Pascal, I believe is his name. You know, first Hispanic lead in the whole Star Wars series. So good for him.
Good.
And I don't know if you've seen the like the promotional stuff for it, but it looks really, really great. You know, aside from like, I think, I guess like non-live action stuff like the comic books and, you know, like the animated series and animated movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The Star Wars canon hasn't really delved into anything in such like a mainstream aspect that isn't just like the trilogies you see, you know, in the theaters. You know, everybody goes and watches those, but not everybody goes and, you know, reads the little short books that, you know, tie into the movies and the comic books and stuff like that. So it's really cool that they're kind of opening up for a wider audience and letting more people into a story instead of just, you know, just waiting every couple of years to watch a new movie. So I'm very, very excited for that.
Yeah, because, like, I have Verizon. And so I'm thinking maybe I should get that month.
Yo, if they do it, dude, definitely. I think this is gonna be like the next big Netflix. Like, absolutely. I think everyone's just gonna just be on Disney Plus, and I think they've got enough of a backlog of things where even at launch when they only have one original series, like, I mean, Netflix used to not even do an original series, it was just backlog. But I think Disney's like such a huge conglomerate, and you know, after the purchase of like the Fox Entertainment, like, I think they've got like so many things that you can just ride that coattail of nostalgia for months and months and
Yes.
months and months and months and
And
months.
you can
and
start
months.
releasing sequels on the platform.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
I heard, and this may or may not be true, but I heard that, they're making a sequel to Hocus Pocus, and that would be on
I believe
Disney
it's
Plus.
a prequel, actually.
Or prequel.
Let me confirm
Yeah.
that for you right now. Let me look that up. Is there anything else you think that it could do better than Netflix?
I guess. I'm thinking about like sort of the Disney Channel episodes. Maybe if they could add some on there, I would love to see the Proud Family and Hamilton
yes. Sweet,
and Sweet Life.
Right.
Yeah,
I
Sweet
think
Life.
all those.
They have the Halloween
shows-
special, which is like the best,
I love
special
You know what I'm really hoping they do that
and the crossovers.
that I think Netflix always missed a chance out on is like having sort of like playlists on there. Like imagine just a Halloween playlist.
Yeah.
Like they have their little sections and everything, but imagine just a Halloween playlist of just like Halloween episodes that you play just from front to back, whatever, just without having to pick anything else. You just have it playing in the background. And also something I hope they do, I don't know if this is just me, but sometimes I don't feel like picking an episode of a show I've already watched. So like
Yeah.
I just want to watch, like Friends was a perfect example of this. That's one of the shows where you literally can just watch any episode and pick up there. And I hope that Disney Plus gives us a shuffle button. I don't think that's just a thing for music. I think a shuffle button in video and like a video player would be amazing.
I would love that. Like you have
Right?
all those old TV shows, and you just shuffle, and you just have an episode play,
Exactly.
and then you just binge watch it from there.
Yeah,
I love
dude.
that.
That
I
is
would
like
love that.
and I think like that's there was a new there was news coming out that Netflix wants to do this thing where they want to add like a new way of binging TV shows by making them a bit faster, I guess, optionally. Which that's something I don't agree with because it like, TV shows that are made for TV, they're made, comprehending that you'll have, commercial breaks and stuff like that. So, they're kind of written to be for that platform. Now that streaming is a thing, you'll have it like that little black 2 seconds where it's like that's where the commercial was supposed to go.
Yeah.
So like it's fine. You can kind of get over that, but stuff where it was made for streaming, you know that you're made to watch it 45 minutes or 35 minutes, whatever it is, uninterrupted. So it's like adding stuff like that, like making it a little faster. It's like, who's that for? Like, who's really sitting out here like, damn, I really want to finish this episode and watch the characters talk a little bit faster.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. I think that's not the way to take it when you want to like, improve binge watching and streaming. But I think something like adding a shuffle button, which I've heard other people say they want, would be something incredible.
Another thing is like if you're gonna have like let's say your own Disney Channel type of series, maybe you can actually make it a half an hour.
Oh,
because it used to be about 22 minutes because of commercials and all that other
and
stuff.
they get short. That's the thing too, is that because of commercials and stuff, like there seems like this trend of certain shows getting shorter and shorter, where in the past it was 22 minutes. Now sometimes they'll be 17 minutes or 16 minutes, and it's like you're at that point you're just watching half commercials. So why even do that? But that it does, it's another thing where it gives them the liberty of just making a show however long kind of they want. If you want to make it 32 minutes or 28 minutes because that's the whole story you want to tell, that's good for them. And it like they said, they're bringing on a lot of Star Wars and Marvel things, and those things are gonna get giant budgets. So you're gonna have like this almost movie experience in your house where with like these big title releases that I think although we've kind of seen stuff like that for Netflix, I think this is like the bigger marker for that, because it's just stuff that's already really, really popular in our pop culture and in our media. Fucking like it's just like Star Wars, a TV show that people actually watch, that isn't just aimed at kids or just people who delve into everything. It's
that goes into one more thing I wanted to see if they can experiment with more mature content.
I hope so too.
Because
I hope so too.
You do have the option now to have I guess the kids
Yes.
type of profile, and maybe you could have some more mature things. It doesn't have to be like Game of Thrones mature, you know what I mean? But it could be just something where
But it could be. It could.
yeah,
be Game
it
of
could
Thrones
be,
mature.
but it's just something where you kind of branch off from the whole kids. This is just for kids,
Right.
And it could be, just a lot more mature in terms of I guess the shows, experiment. you
Yeah,
know?
I think that might be one of the concerns people might have about Disney Plus too, because I think people hear Disney and they're like, oh, kid stuff. But it's like Disney owns a bunch of things that they can, make into something really cool without having to really think about like, well, who's this targeted at? Will people not watch this because they're afraid their kids will watch it, or or because they can't watch it with their kids and stuff like that. And it's like, this is now you're on the same platform, but you're not. If you have like different accounts, your kid doesn't have to watch this.
Exactly.
They like there are certain things where like one time I was trying to watch something on Netflix. I can't remember what it's called. But it's like this Black Mirror type of show, and it's like an anthology series that my girlfriend had talked to me about, and I accidentally pressed on my little sister's account, and I looked it up and it just would not pop, like it wouldn't even like give it to me as an option, and it's because you're on a kid's account, and it's like, so like you never have to worry, like if something like that happens, like you never have to worry about your kid accidentally watching something you don't want them to watch.
Like, I remember I watched a movie with my friend Philip at his house, like, a while ago. And it was not just him, but it was him and his other friend Ryan. And it was, like, this, like, terrible frat movie. It was called, like, Frat Gods or something that. I may be getting that wrong, but it was just, like, a terrible movie about this frat kid who wanted to fit in with these kids were like very racist. Like the way they talk about black people, I was like,
very.
This was made in 2017.
Oh, 2017. Oh,
this is like some American Pie early 2000 type of thing where it's like, okay, we understand that was bad and we throw it away into the pile heap of
really
racist
funny.
BS, and it was just like terrible. And I was like, you know what? Good thing we have the option. Because,
but yeah, I mean, it'll like I think because you have so many options, you can just watch whatever you want, or not watch whatever you want. But yes, I hope they bring on all. I know you don't watch superhero stuff, but all the Netflix stuff.
I'll give it a try.
For Marvel was so amazing, and I hope they don't keep that canceled. I hope they bring that on.
Only one can hope. But thank you all for listening. This has been a great discussion. I'm so excited for Disney Plus. I'm so excited to see what they have. And
please sponsor us, Disney.
Please,
or whoever, anybody.
We could get thousands, millions. Okay, so thank you all for listening
to the Pop Off. This has been Ruben,
and I'm Dijon.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Just a Tip. My name is Val.
And I'm Dijon.
And today, I don't know, we're just going to talk about updates. So last time, Dijon, you mentioned that you went on a date. Well, we're going to be on a date, and I gave you an advice to just take it as a friend's hangout. So how was it?
It was, well, first things first, like the date unfortunately couldn't happen the time we wanted to.
Again?
Because, not again, but like it was because, his, he had just had some family personal things he needed to deal with. So we're gonna reschedule for another time, but we like snap basically daily. Personally, I never really like to talk on Snapchat because I just hate how the messages erase, and all that stuff. But
you can save it. You hold it and then it says save chat.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, I just found something new. but it doesn't really matter because mostly we just send like pictures of each other and we just talking that basically.
Well, the little texts that are sent, you can save them.
Okay, now that is so good to know. Now I can actually use Snapchat in the appropriate way that is supposed to be used. But other than that, I was talking to another guy. And basically he had a sort of fetish, like basically like a fat fetish. And so we were talking. I was like, okay, let me see where things go.
I'm
Because
sorry,
I don't.
I gasped, but it's not because they had a fetish. I always hear bad stories when a person says, I'm talking to this person, they have a fetish.
So he's very nice. He's very gentle, but I was a little bit like, I never heard this before. Like I never really had someone ask me for my weight.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, yikes, I don't know about this. And I was giving him the benefit of the doubt, because I was like, just because you have a fetish doesn't mean you can't love someone, so let's just see what happens. But I brought it up like, what do you want? Like, he's like, oh, I don't know, maybe I'll be polyamorous. And I'm like, I'm really more monogamous. Like I'm not really into that. So you know what, go out and find whatever you go out and find whatever. Go find yourself, and I'll tend to the other guy. And yeah.
I'm sorry, it's taking me time to process that was a lot.
I know that was a lot, but that's happened recently.
Damn, sorry.
But it's okay, because we
love experiences though.
Yeah, because we still are friends, but it's just not gonna take that step.
Yeah.
And I was kind of happy, because before that I was talking to nobody, and it was like,
and now you're talking to a person that has a fetish that wants to be polyamorous. Yes, great.
Okay, so what about you?
Me, nothing. I don't got nothing going on.
Oh,
Life is great. Lately I've just been dropping everything to focus on school. The relationship that I was in with a guy from long distance from Florida, I broke up with him.
Yeah.
To focus on myself. And sometimes, you gotta be selfish and focus on yourself to be a better you.
Oh yeah, that's completely true. Self-reflection. A lot of people, I feel like, particularly when it comes to me, you pay attention more to other people than yourself, and that's not always the healthiest thing.
That's a lie. I always focus on myself. Sorry. I always treat myself.
I'm sorry. Like I don't know. I just have this like thought in my head that's like, you can help someone. You should help these people, and you'll be fine. You could handle this another day.
Yeah.
But it is healthy to focus on yourself. Focus on yourself sometimes.
As time goes, I always realize that I always love just being in a relationship with myself. always take myself out on dates. I'm like, Val, what do you want to do today? And then like, I don't know, you want some coffee and go read a book. So I was like, all right, so let's go to the city and Barnes and Noble.
Yeah. Okay.
But lately I've just been debating if I want to like re-download Tinder or not, or if I even want to go into the lifestyle of Grindr. I'm like, I don't want to step into that field.
Girl, you do not want to go to Grindr. Like, just stay clear of Grindr.
Yeah.
Have Tinder. It's not as good. Well,
no, I've had Tinder before, but I don't know if I want to go back, because I remember how it is.
Yeah, I sort of agree too. Like, I deleted Tinder, and I was like, do I want to put it back? Because I was in the Cascades and upstate New York, and I was like, you know what? Should I turn it on and just see who's around? And
yeah, okay.
And I was like, you know what?
3 miles away.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? Let me not. I'm in the middle of nowhere, literally farm and grass for miles. Like,
So if I'm correct, like honestly, the people that would pop up on that Tinder is the people that you were with. Like, do you really want that to happen?
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah.
So stay clear of that.
Yeah. So any like tips I can help you with?
Let's see. So like, I guess we could talk about when is it like appropriate, I guess, to really ask for sex. Like, is it like, do you do it like on the second day, the third, or?
Well, when people always say when is the correct time or whatever, it's just like appropriate. Like, what's that? Like, the time always it just happens. Like, you can't pre-plan something, and every time you do, it's not gonna go well. Like, just go with the flow of things. That's how I live my life. Everything goes well. If you say, oh my God, let's have sex, like, after the third date, like, that's anticipating that the third date is going to happen. And if it don't happen, then you're like, oh, well, I guess we're not having sex. Or if you are on the third date, then you're sitting there like, when are we going to finish this dinner so we can go have sex? Like, you know what I'm talking about? So it's just like, why are you putting so much pressure on sex? Like, just be in the moment. Like, if you want, have sex after the first date. Like, who cares?
Yeah, that's true, because I was trying to help out a friend, and they asked me the question, and I was sort of like what you said, you know, but I was like, you know, maybe someone who's more experienced can help them. But I was like, you know, love is love.
You calling me experienced? I'm not.
Well, you know, I only had 3 partners, so I'm like super not experienced. Yeah. You know, but I was like, you know, I try to take things slow, you know, because a lot of people go fast, and I'm like, you know, I really don't want to go fast and then crash and burn and do all that stuff.
Listen, for crash and burns, everything happens for a reason. It was meant to happen anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Like me, when I first got Tinder, and then this guy came over, I didn't know it was gonna happen, but listen, had some wine, we were watching a movie, the movie actors were being lovey-dovey, we decided to be lovey-dovey, and it happened. I didn't anticipate that it was gonna happen, but it did.
So like Netflix and chill, and
I guess that was my first Netflix and chill. There you go. And it was fine. And then, you know, life happened.
Yeah, and cool. Funny thing, when I was away this weekend, you know, I was like in a club. And I guess you could call it a club.
I know what you're talking about. I went there before.
Yeah, so like I went there, and I just had a very, very good time, you know, dancing. Like I had this woman, she was like 40 years old, and she was like, you know, it's my birthday, and you know, I gave her, you know, a very, very good birthday, I guess, dance, because she really wanted to get low. And I was like, you really want to get low?
Yeah.
You know who I am? Okay, let's get low. And she was like, yeah, we could do that, you know. And I was like, ooh, okay.
Last year when I went to Catskills for that same retreat that you went to, and I was in that club, I did not have a great experience.
Really?
Yep. So that night when we decided to go to the club, a wedding just had happened, and the guests that were at that wedding decided to come down to the club. And one of the guests, they were on me, and I was being distant. Like, I was obviously like looking around, looking for friends, like, come over here so this woman will get away. But no, she was not budging. She was kept coming to get closer, and it's just like very gross, and you can tell she was drunk. And I was just backing up, and she was like throwing it forward, and I was like so this is the game we playing now. All right. So yeah, no.
I had probably a more worse experience than that.
All right, so we're not doing a competition who has the worst story about rape or whatever.
Okay, well, the thing is, the second night, which was Saturday, you know, there was this whole situation that I'm probably not going to get into the details, but there was this whole situation, and it was very, like, racially motivated, and it was, like, my first time ever really experiencing discrimination, and I was like, oh my God. Like, I knew it happened, but I was like, damn, to have it happen to you, you're just like...
Yeah. I've experienced that, and I don't want to discuss it because this is not what this podcast is about. I'll gladly talk about it, but another time.
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to get into the details of it because of, like, this whole situation. But, you know, that's that. So, let's see.
What are the heteros up to?
The heteros, oh my God.
No, let's not say it like that.
Yeah, because you know how triggered they get. So it's like, yeah. But on it, let me see. I did have a friend ask me, like, about, like, marriage. Because they're like, you know, when do I bring up marriage, like, in a relationship and stuff like that. And I'm like, well... like, how long have you guys been together? You know what I mean? Because if it's been, like, let's say about 7 years, then maybe, possibly, just, like, I still feel like even with that long of a time, it still really just depends on the person.
If you're with the person for 7 years and you're still thinking about talking to have about marriage, that ain't it. That ain't it. Walk away.
Oh God, because you know, at the end of the day, for me, I want to get married. I want to get kids. I want to have that white picket fence. You know, all that good American dream type of stuff. So I was like, you know, just take your time, and maybe someday you guys would actually be ready. And then she was like, you know what? I just don't want like a ring. Like, I don't know how I feel about the whole ring situation. And I was like, well,
So in a traditional couple, that's fine.
exactly. Yeah, you don't really need a ring at all. You know, that's
You need the
just-
fucking feelings.
Exactly.
I hope.
know? Yeah, because it's like, you know, that's what Hollywood tells us. You know, you need to get on one knee and propose
No.
and all that stuff. And it's like, now I could just go to the courtroom and
Can I tell you a secret?
What's up?
You want to know how gay people propose to each other? They get each other ring cocks. All right? They get each other cock rings, and that's it.
Oh my God.
$5 each, right?
Yes.
All right.
Oh Lord. Oh my God. Then I'm gonna be terrified of my proposal. But yeah, and then you know, she was like, oh, you know, I really don't want to spend $10,000 on a big wedding and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But for me, I'm a groomzilla, so if I do get married, I'm gonna be taking over that wedding. I'll be like, okay, I want this. I want the chocolate cake here. I need the flowers over there. The DJ has to be over here. Like, I'm gonna be a mess. Like, please pray for the person who will be proposing with me.
But
'Cause
what advice did you give this individual?
well, I told him to just basically wait and see what happens. You know, I feel like, you know, you don't really need to rush the situation or rush marriage, because you may be sort of thinking about it, but the other person may not, and they're just like, okay, I'm in this relationship with this person. Let's just see how it goes. You know, one day, hopefully I will propose to this girl or whatever. So it's like, you know, just wait and see what happens. You know, I think that's the best advice I can give, because a lot of people, because I feel like it's just rushed a little bit more than it needs to be, you know. So what do you say?
Would you say that's because of the new generation that we're in, that everything is rushed because so much pressure is put on us?
Yeah, because I think for a lot of people, you know, you have all these movies coming out, you have all these things coming out where it's like, you have to get married, or the person or the people who get married are typically younger, you know, so they're like, okay, I'm 20, so when I'm gonna get married now.
But have you noticed that we are now in the less marital, like, rate? Like, in the percentage, like, we're the least married, like, everyone's
And,
just
like-
single, having
like-
fun.
Yeah, and like a higher divorce rate.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, you know, you get together and it's like, you just haven't gone through the challenges you need to as a couple in order to actually get married and stay together. So it's like,
I always just tell
Yeah.
people, like, life is short, experiment. Like, don't put a ring on it if you're not fully sure about it. Like,
exactly. And especially if you're very young, you know, you have, you know, you have multiple years and stuff like that. So it's like,
because I feel like most of the roots of divorce, like, nowadays, is affairs. And it's just like, communicate with your partner. Like, if you want to have a third person, talk to them. See what they're, like, what's up. Like, what are they thinking? Like, were they also thinking the same thing?
yeah.
Like,
you
go
know,
ahead. Like, think about it. Like, experiment. Have fun. Life is short. Like, you're going to die and just be in regret. But, like, go ahead and have an affair and ruin your whole life.
Yeah, exactly. Like, having a third person in doesn't really change anything as long as it's, you know, consensual and
Yeah.
people, you know, because one thing, a lot of people kind of keep sort of more kinky stuff in their minds, I guess. And they're like, you know, I'm thinking about this, but I don't know what my partner is thinking.
Like, I want a 50 Shades of Grey life.
Exactly. So it's like, I want to experiment with this.
Like, even that. Did that even have a happy ending?
Not really.
Exactly. What are you putting yourself into?
You know, plus I don't think anybody wants, you know, their partner to really have say over their financial dealings. So, no 50 Shades.
Yeah.
More
Like,
like,
people need to, like, learn how to communicate more with their significant other.
yeah. And I feel like, you know, when you go to social media, and especially when you match online, I feel like a lot of people get used to the texting and all that stuff. And it's like, well, a lot of other people want more up close, personal type of relationship.
Yeah, and I bet you they'll hit you back with that reply. They're like, we can get really close and personal real quick. And then they'll send you a nude, and I'm like, no, that's not what we meant.
Yeah, I'm like, in a different way. You know what I mean? Like, you're trying too hard.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just...
So now I'm blocking you. Okay.
Yeah, that is the game right now.
It got close, and I took it personal, and now you're deleted.
Exactly. Like, goodbye. Let's see. So, do you have, like, any other advice?
Advice for what? Like, what do you... I'm joking.
It's okay.
I don't know. Clubbing. I don't know. I haven't been out in the scene lately. I've been performing, so I haven't had time for myself. Like, I always go out on a Friday or a Saturday with a friend, go around people. Now that I'm single, I want to go out and see what's out there. But I had a gig on Friday, and that's usually the day that I go out, so I couldn't do anything.
Yeah, like, there's like a Halloween party I'm thinking about going to, like one of my friends, you know, they said it's like in the city, so I'm like, yeah, maybe why not see what happens, you know, maybe I'll take someone home, maybe I won't, you know.
Dijon, we know you ain't taking nobody home.
Yeah, no.
You too indecisive for that.
Yeah, I probably am. But we'll see what happens.
Now with me, when I was like joined Tinder, it was pretty bad. Like even my mom has to like give me a talk.
Oh,
so the fact that your mom has to give you a talk, like now I know, like I'm definitely not independent. I'm still a child. That my mom had to stop telling me like stop inviting people over and bringing them to the house.
I'd be like, that's a friend, Mom. Relax.
Yeah, no, literally that's what they were. But what happened was that last time I brought a friend over, I met them at DragCon. They're deaf, and we were communicating the whole time because I'm studying American Sign Language, and I was the only person that they could communicate with at the booth. So they just came from San Diego. That's where they came from. They came all the way here to just go to DragCon, but they made a drastic decision to just stay here and not go back. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So what is your like arrangement of sleep and all that stuff? And they're like, oh, I'm just figuring it out as it goes. And I'm like, you're living my life. That's how I do it. So I was like, well, anytime that you need somewhere to be or to go, like let me know and I can, you know, give you a place to sleep. So that time came and he stayed over and everything was cool. Kind of another situation. So let's just say that there was an accident where he was horny and I was not.
Yeah.
No, thank you. And especially I just told you I'm in a relationship, so no.
Yeah.
And apparently he was mad and I guess he was wandering the house in the dark. And somehow he ended up bumping into my brother. And my brother was in the kitchen rolling up. You already know. So the best way he can communicate that he wanted to smoke is, you know, he signed it like, you know, 2 fingers up to your mid lip. And my brother kind of got like what he meant. So my brother's like, oh yeah, sure, I can light you up. And as they're smoking, he takes out his phone to text him, and it's like he's sending a paragraph like, oh, can I suck you off?
Ooh.
I was like, oh, so you're that horny, like you went to my brother. So then my brother's like texting me, he's like, hey, when you come home today, I really need to talk to you. And I was like, what happened? He wouldn't tell me until he arrived home. So then I go to my friend and I ask him like, yo, did anything between you and my brother happen? And he was like, no, we just smoked and that's it. And I was like, okay, cool. My brother gets home. We have a whole conversation. He's like, yo, you need to be careful who you bring over. Yeah. And it was just that. And I was like, wow, that is some crazy shit.
Yeah. Oh my God, this is so interesting. I love conversations with you, Val.
I know, you too, Dijon.
I know. So thank you all for watching.
Yeah.
For listening.
For watching. We might turn this into a mini series.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for listening to Just a Tip.
Mwah.
All right, let's get it. All right, so on the first topic, we're going to talk about Michael Jordan, and he made some comments last week on the Today Show, talking about Stephen Curry, NBA superstar, and he said this: he's still a great player, not a Hall of Famer yet, though. He's not. So, Lorenzo, what's your take on that?
The great Michael Jordan, Danny, man. I tell you this much. Jordan, as great as he is, and he is great, sometimes he comes off his mouth kind of ridiculous now that he's an old-timer. I mean,
I mean, he's one of the greatest of all time, if
Of
not the
course,
greatest.
but common sense, everybody knows
Of course.
off the back. Of course, Steph is not a Hall of Famer yet. You know, he's still playing in the league for crying out loud. But
But if he was to end, sorry to cut you off there. If he was to end his career right now, he would probably be a Hall of Famer.
he would 100% be a Hall of
That's what I'm
Famer.
saying.
So that's why I don't understand.
3 rings.
Exactly. 3 rings.
One of the greatest 3-point shooters of all time, if not the greatest.
No, he
At
is
this
the
point-
greatest.
At this point
period.
right now, like he still has like what 5-6 years left.
Yes.
10, maybe
3 rings. I mean, he has
2 MVPs.
2 MVPs.
1 unanimous.
1 unanimous. Michael Jordan doesn't even have a unanimous MVP. So
He has what 6 MVPs? Or
yes, he does, but he's
6 Finals MVPs
Steph
too?
Curry is the only one unanimous MVP. So, and mind you, I'm not even a Steph Curry fan. So, for him to say that,
I mean, you have to defend him when it's right, of course.
yes, exactly. I
But
mean,
the only knock on his career that I have to say is that he has no Finals MVPs.
is because it's hard to win this league, Danny. So, when you don't have no Finals MVPs, it goes to show you that it's the team, is not just the player.
Right.
Even though he is,
I mean, Andre Iguodala was the Finals MVP.
Yes.
So
but. I mean, I get that he was Finals MVP and Kevin Durant was Finals MVP, but don't get it twisted. Without Steph Curry, they are not winning a
of
championship.
course. But Iguodala's impact in that series against the who were they playing against the
The Cavs?
Cavs? Yeah, it was the Cavs.
Yes.
So his defense and
Yeah, the one
everything
MVP.
that
The second he
mattered.
got switched to the starting lineup, he
Right.
was the MVP.
and he was guarding LeBron.
Exactly. That's why he got MVP.
And made a huge
you know?
impact.
Definitely. If not, can you imagine if the Cavs without Kyrie Irving?
And didn't Curry have like a mediocre finals that year?
Yes, he did.
So his other 2 finals he did solid,
did
but
solid.
it was Durant though. I mean, he was probably the best
Clearly.
player in that series. both
Clearly,
series.
clearly. I mean, yeah, man. But can you imagine if the Cavs would have won that finals without Kyrie Irving, without Kevin Love? That would have been a really big hit on Steph. But
And LeBron was like doing
yeah,
his
he was killing
thing,
it. He was
man.
killing it.
It took
you
him
know?
to what? Game 6, game 7.
Game six. He tired
Yeah.
out, and you can't do nothing with
I mean,
one
it's hard,
superstar
yeah.
in a whole team.
He had about like
so,
35 points per game. in
Yeah,
that.
it was ridiculous, man.
But I thought what Michael Jordan said was really ridiculous.
Yeah, and
though. I mean,
a lot of people, they protected him by saying, he really isn't an MVP, which I get, but he had to have known that saying that type of comment was gonna get some type of heat.
why do you think he said that though?
Because he's old school, man. So a lot of these old school guys,
Well, what do you mean by that? Because
they're kind of not that they're kind of jealous of of today's players, but in a sense they are, because A, they get like way more money than they ever did, and B, the NBA is a lot easier now. Everything's focused on offense and not defense, where back then you basically had to be thrown in the floor for even one foul to be called. So I just feel they have some type of remorse when they talk about the new generation now,
I mean, it wasn't like having the 3-point shot back then. It was like a specialty. Like you were known for being a 3-pointer,
Yeah,
3-point shooter.
No
so.
one really took it like that, unless, like you said, you were a specialist. But
Yeah, Steve Kerr,
exactly,
Robert Horry, you name it.
and these are guys that changed the games.
But that's the thing, Steph Curry, he changed the game.
Yeah.
He revolutionized it with his
Exactly.
3-point shot, his athleticism, everything.
Exactly. Yeah, man. So that's my take on it. I just feel like he was just a little bit salty.
Yeah.
And he's still a little bit salty about the players that are playing now, that it's not as hard as it used to be. But what they don't understand is, yes, it might not have been as hard as it used to be back then, but the talent in today's NBA does not compare at all from back then. Not at all. There are too many superstars to compare to maybe 2 or 3 that were in the league back then.
Are you saying there was more superstars back then? Or?
No, there are way more superstars now than there ever
no,
was.
I completely agree.
So it's a lot harder to
But
win
it's
now.
like certain teams, like the Bulls and the
Houston
Knicks,
Rockets, the
Houston
Spurs,
Rockets. Yeah,
the
they
Knicks.
had like those superstars.
Yeah.
They had like that one
And then
guy
that
they
was
could rely
it.
on, and then they had the other guys who were the role
Yeah,
players.
exactly.
But now we have like 3-4 superstars on the same team.
on the same team. And
Over exaggeration, by the way, but I'm just saying, like, Golden State Warriors had like 3 stars and 1 All-Star. I mean, come on.
Yeah, man. And I mean, even now, like the stars, like the good team, like you really don't even know. Like, yeah, everybody's saying, hey, the Clippers might win the finals. They're looking amazing, which they are
might.
looking amazing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
They're doing this without Paul George, by the way. He's coming back soon.
But at the same time, you really, really don't know who's gonna win the finals, man. It's literally.
It's up for grabs.
To me, it's gonna come down on who is luckiest. I'm telling you that right now. Cause what?
Injuries.
Exactly.
They play a
injuries.
huge factor.
Exactly. And I think Kawhi, by game 2, I think he was already kind of nicked up. So imagine. I mean, it's gonna come down to luck, Danny. I'm telling you.
Yeah. All right. Well, everything you said was correct though, and I don't know. Michael Jordan, he said what he said, and that's it.
Don't be salty, MG. I mean, you're the GOAT. You're still the GOAT, guy. Come on, man.
I'm sure Steph Curry took it with a grain of salt though, and made nothing of it though.
Yeah,
I mean,
Steph.
he knows he's a Hall of Famer. I like to think he does. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Steph, man, he's gonna be chill about it.
So all right. So the next thing I want to get to is so LeBron. I believe he said this. It was pregame. It was like no, it wasn't pregame. It was like it was during like media time early in the day.
Yes, I think it was the end game interview or something like that.
No, I think it was like the next day they were doing like practice. I think it was practice.
Cool.
So LeBron said this about the LA rivalry. So I think this was like 2 days after they played each other, the Clippers and the Lakers.
Yeah.
So this is what he said. He said basically it's not a rivalry. So it's as simple as it could come. But what do you think about that? Do you think it's a rivalry?
I mean, it definitely is a rivalry. The thing about LeBron is that he's extremely passive. Like he's not about no drama. He's not about he
doesn't want to play into like the attention. That makes completely sense.
He doesn't want.
I didn't think about that.
He doesn't want media to instigate more drama, so he tries to deflect it in his way, but he for sure knows there's definitely a rivalry there.
But what's the NBA without drama? I mean, come on.
That's true, but
every sport has its drama.
Of course,
especially in the NBA.
You know this, but
and LeBron's known for it.
Exactly.
So.
Look, and
center of attention always.
Exactly. So imagine that.
Even when he's not in the playoffs, he's the center of attention.
Imagine him
ESPN.
Imagine him being a center of attention, and then he just adds more to it. It's gonna be ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? So he's just like deflecting.
He had so much media attention for a guy who wasn't in the playoffs.
It was hilarious, man.
I mean, ESPN was posting something about LeBron every day, almost every day about LeBron, even when he was in the playoffs. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it goes to show you the impact of one guy, man. It's unbelievable. It
on and off the court.
On and off the court. It truly, really is, man.
But I think it's for sure a rivalry.
It's definitely a rivalry.
Come on.
And let me tell you something.
I mean, they're playing in the same city, the same building. How could you not call it a rivalry? Especially when they're both good.
Exactly.
And at least they're projected to be good, and they're projected to be in the finals.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be interesting. I tell you, man.
If they make it to the conference finals with them, both teams, and they play each other, I mean, it's gonna be
crazy.
A Game 7 series, at least I like to hope so.
I think it definitely is gonna go 7 games, and depending on how Paul George comes back and if Kawhi can stay healthy, it's gonna be interesting, Danny. Because don't forget, Kuzma was out too, and once I've seen the last couple of Laker games, and they're starting to gel. Remember, it's gonna take them a little bit longer because they're a brand new team, literally. Yeah. The Clippers, they have all their bench players from last year, so they instantly got connected real quick. All you have to do is just plug in that little star, and Kawhi just takes the little spots, boom, shot, and he's absolutely amazing, man. But let's see how it works out in the playoffs, because as good as the role players are, they are not superstars. So if they get in foul trouble, it's gonna get interesting, Danny. So let's see what happens in the playoffs, man. It's gonna be so interesting, so good, man. I can't wait.
For sure. So I want to get into the Zion Williamson situation. So right now he hasn't played one single minute of NBA basketball in regular season time. In preseason, summer league he played, of course. But right now he's out for like about 6 to 8 weeks, and it's been a couple weeks so far. So about like maybe like 4 to 6, something like that.
Indeed.
And it's a big blow to the Pelicans and their playoff run. But what do you think about the situation though? Do you think he's gonna live up to expectations when he comes back from his injury?
It is a big hit, Danny. It definitely is, man. They're 0-4 right now as we speak. As a matter of fact. So let's see what happens when he comes back. To be honest with you, he might have a slight impact.
No, didn't they win one game?
No, man. It's 0-4.
Wow.
Sadly, man. I think they played Golden State yesterday and they lost.
They did. They got blown out.
Yeah, that was their first win. So and they've come close to winning. Don't get me wrong. And he might be the difference.
My Knicks. Except they won last night. A huge win. Bobby Portis all the way, baby.
Yeah, man. He might be that difference maker, but I mean, he has to lose some weight, Danny. He has to lose some weight, man. This guy,
I agree.
He's a monster. He's a force. So with all that force and all that energy, you're just bound to get hurt. And look what happened. He just played how many games in preseason? 2?
He played 2, but just about.
So imagine if he got hurt in 2 games. Can you imagine when it's the regular season when everybody's going all at it?
I mean, you look at a guy like LeBron who has the weight but also is very athletic, and he's still, for his age, about like 36 years old, still could ball and do his thing. Zion Williamson could be in the same situation if he loses the weight and comes into like a good, weight size, and like he has athleticism. He's like 19 years old, and he could ball. He could do his thing.
Yeah,
he just needs to be at a good weight for him.
Yes.
So that way he doesn't get hurt.
Exactly.
He hurt his Achilles. So I mean, this is it's a huge blow.
It's gonna be interesting to see how they adjust to having him play the position that he plays, and just having the impact that he has. Hopefully he can get healthy.
It comes down to conditioning, and all these trainers, they have to be on top of him, because this guy is like, he hasn't gotten this much. NBA player hasn't gotten this much attention since like LeBron James.
Yeah, man, he's a monster, man. He could definitely impact the game. We just got to see, where his health is, and hopefully he comes back and he. Do you think they're gonna make the playoffs now, even at the losing?
I mean,
rate
right now they're
0-4,
and I think they have a shot still. I mean, still way too early in the season to say anything. And I think it's open, in the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. And I think any team could make it. Like, I think Dallas could have a shot at the playoffs. I think New Orleans has a shot. And when Zion comes back, maybe if they start winning some games, it should be interesting to see what happens.
Let's see, man. The wild West is crazy out there.
No. And the East, I don't know, man, but it's definitely open for grabs for sure. So
yeah, man.
I just hope my Knicks make it somehow. We're 1-3 right now.
Man,
so we'll see what happens.
The Knicks. Let's see what happens.
We'll see what happens. And last topic I wanted to get into right now is, do you think the Golden State Warriors should still be worth talking about?
It's interesting, Danny, because with Steph Curry and Draymond always making crazy comments, and then D'Angelo Russell and even Steve Kerr, of course they're gonna be worth talking about. But I think media is gonna talk about them differently now, because
they're not the center of attention. It's just the Los Angeles teams.
Exactly. But
even if the Los Angeles teams were bad, they were going to be the center of attention because they have those two superstars that they have.
Yes, but I think media is going to take their shot now. Just like every NBA player, they're going to take their shot at Golden State, because they've had it so easy for the last 3, 4, 5 years that they're like, okay, now that you guys are vulnerable, watch this. Now you get to see what we went through. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think they're really, really, really going to take a hit, on just dealing with media and dealing with the NBA players that want revenge for them basically cheating the game of basketball, man.
I mean, they were in the finals for the last 5-6 years. Yeah. So I mean, it definitely played a toll on a lot of NBA teams.
Yeah, man. Remember last year, Steve Kerr, he was letting the players coach. I mean, can you imagine the disrespect level on just having to sit back and just having your team being so good that you have them coach?
Players have done that before. LeBron James has done that millions of times.
Maybe, but not to the extent of the Golden State Warriors. I mean, they made it so blunt, man.
No, it was funny because I remember, I think it was a couple years ago. I remember, maybe it was last year. I remember Draymond Green just took the coach book.
Yeah,
and,
that's what I'm saying.
Sitting on the bench, calling out plays.
That's what I'm saying, Danny. That's disrespect, man. I'm telling you.
No, but they were doing it for fun at the time, because they were winning for days.
Exactly.
Now they're
fun. Now they're like,
but I think
shit.
They could actually do that. Now, given the circumstances that they're in right now. And plus, they're still waiting on Klay Thompson, so we'll get to see.
He might not come back, Danny. Let's see.
I think he's probably going to be out for the whole year, from what I heard.
He might not come back, and I think he's going to play by ear. Like, if they have a mediocre record, he'll probably come back for the playoffs. But if he knows that they keep losing, there's no way
Durant's definitely not coming back this year.
He's
for
not
sure.
coming back for sure.
And
I kind of heard a snippet. I don't know how true it is. DeMarcus Cousins might be ready to go for the playoffs.
I heard that too.
So let's see what happens.
But I think the Golden State Warriors should still win the playoffs, at least a 6th seed or higher.
Hopefully, man.
And I think there could still be worth talking about. I don't know if they'll make it to the finals. I don't know. But I think they could give it a shot at these teams like Clippers, Lakers, Utah,
it's
Portland,
Golden State,
Denver.
Man. You never count them out. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with the San Antonio Spurs. They're always in the playoffs somehow, and
always.
You can never really truly count them out.
Yeah, facts. They're I think 3-0, I think, or 4-0 right now. So imagine.
Exactly. And they don't have let's be honest, they don't have the greatest team compared to these other teams.
And
in the West.
One's talking about them as usual.
Always, I don't want to say underrated, but definitely undervalued.
Yeah,
I guess you could say.
Facts.
So it's definitely going to be interesting though. See where NBA season's still going. We're already about a couple weeks in.
Yeah,
and,
man, it's interesting.
It's still very exciting. It's very exciting for sure. Anything else you want to say though?
No, man, I'm good. I'm excited. Let's keep going. The games are back to back, so it's a great take. It's a great fresh look for the NBA. Let's get it, man. Let's do it.
NBA season's in the second week. Let's get it going. Let's keep it going. Let's have a great year.
Yes,
because I expect great things, and I think it's gonna be an awesome year, and we should see how it goes into the finals. And I'm excited.
Indeed.
All right, so I'm Danny,
And I'm Lorenzo, guys.
Just talking sports. See you on the next one.
Deuces.